Welcome to today's news wrap up. Let's dive right into the top stories making headlines today. 5 Senate Democrats and 1 independent visited Guantanamo Bay to express concerns about the detention of members of the Tren de Agua cartel, a violent criminal group from Venezuela. I've never seen our representatives, our senators, come in and cape for criminals like this before. I mean, these people have done some of the most heinous crimes, violent crime, killed innocent people, sexually abused people, trafficked people. And this is where you want to put your foot down, Democrats? It makes no sense to me. But their trip focused on oversight and so-called human rights issues, emphasizing the need for transparency and access to legal counsel for detainees. Critics like myself argue that their efforts prioritize the rights of foreign criminals over the safety of American citizens, particularly victims of cartel-related crimes. While Republicans advocate for stronger immigration enforcement and broader security, the visit highlights contrasting approaches to handling foreign gangs and national security concerns. Here, Democrats again on the 80-20 issue, being on the wrong side. But the situation underscores ongoing debates about immigration policies and public safety. Ukrainian President Zelensky, ungrateful Zelensky, has reignited rumors about Russian President Putin's health, suggesting he might, quote, die soon, and emphasizing that fear of death looms over him. We've heard these type of things before. They tried to say that years ago he had cancer and he was going to die and all these other crazy things, and he's still walking and talking and I don't know. You can't really trust these people. But his remarks followed unverified reports claiming Putin experienced a mini stroke and displayed uncontrollable shaking at a public event. Zelensky also criticized any potential U.S. support that might ease Putin's isolation, urging America to maintain its stance against Russia. These statements were made during an interview alongside French President Macron, who is exploring the idea of forming a coalition to deploy Western troops to Ukraine. This is exactly why we need to get out of NATO, because they keep doing ridiculous stuff like this. Such actions could escalate tensions and risk broader conflict with nuclear armed Russia. But they don't care. They don't care about that. This is what they want. They want to continue the war. Nancy Pelosi declined to denounce acts of domestic terrorism targeting Tesla dealerships and charging stations, which included gunfire, arson, and the placement of incendiary devices. Her ambiguous response, described as stunning and brave by critics, ridiculous, has drawn attention to inconsistencies in Democrats' approach to domestic terrorism. While past remarks emphasize addressing violent white supremacy as a bipartisan issue, the current silence on anti-Tesla violence stands in stark contrast. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries similarly avoided commenting on these attacks, despite previously calling for decisive action against domestic terrorism. Critics argue that this lack of condemnation undermines principles of accountability and justice, fueling debates about selective responses to politically motivated violence. Democrats want this. They silently want this, just like the Democrats during the KKK, when the KKK was stopping people from voting and stuff like that. The Democrats was all for that, and they were silent on it, just like they're silent on this issue. It's ridiculous. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has proposed the creation of a shadow government to counter President Trump's executive order on election integrity. You can't make this stuff up. This guy can't stop putting his foot in his mouth. The order mandates proof of citizenship for voter registration, which Walz criticized as an attempt to suppress votes. How is asking for someone to prove that they're a U.S. citizen, how is that suppressing votes? All of us should have some type of proof, a birth certificate or social security card or something to prove that you're an actual citizen. It's not that hard. We got IDs and things like that. He suggested that Democrats hold alternative press conferences to challenge the administration's actions and provide their perspective. Isn't that what they're already doing, though? The Republican National Committee has intensified efforts to ensure election integrity, deploying poll watchers and attorneys while securing legal victories in key states. Walz's remarks reflecting ongoing tensions between Democrats and Republicans over so-called voter rights and election policies. Jon Stewart expressed frustration over the complex process states faced to secure Build Back Better funding during Biden's presidency. I mean, this Build Back thing was ridiculous in the first place. Ezra Klein explained that only 3 out of 56 entities completed the 14-step application process, which included submitting letters of intent, requesting planning grants, and creating 5-year action plans. Stewart reacted with disbelief as Klein detailed the bureaucratic hurdles, noting that even after 3 years, entities had only reached step 5. This is crazy. Klein criticized the Biden administration for its inefficiency, highlighting how liberal government policies often struggle with implementation. This par for the course. Look no further than your nearest Democrat-ran city. Stewart described the situation as worse than expected, emphasizing the self-inflicted obstacles that hindered progress. I mean, the same stuff is happening in LA when they try to rebuild for the wildfires. They're having a hard time doing it because of the bureaucratic tape. It's ridiculousness. This is what Democrat, liberal, progressive policies get you, is a bloated bureaucratic state where you get absolutely nothing done. Elon Musk revealed that the government spent nearly $1 billion on a simple 10-question survey that could have been conducted for about $10,000 using tools like SurveyMonkey. You know, SurveyMonkey, the tool that almost every corporation uses for surveys, is ridiculous. Or you could have just made a Google form to do it. This is ridiculous. You need $1 billion to create a survey? He highlighted this as a shocking example of government waste uncovered by the Department of Government Efficiency. Musk noted that the survey lacked a feedback loop, rendering it essentially useless. Critics argue that such expenditures signal potential corruption and mismanagement. The funds wasted on the survey could have been used to provide free housing for 4,000 homeless veterans, emphasizing the need for reform and accountability in government spending. But Democrats, they don't want accountability. They want to continue to throw money at everything and have this slush fund. It's waste, it's fraud. The BBC is providing counseling services to its employees to help them cope with concerns related to President Trump's administration. That's right. The BBC, we all know the BBC, the journalists there, they're a whole different country. Why are they worried about our president? Why does our president stress them so much? They should be worrying about what's going on in their country, about the illegal immigration that's going on in their country. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene told the journalists yesterday, you need to worry about your country and how and the sexual abuse that's going on from these illegals that you're allowing in your country, instead of worrying about what's going on in our country. An email from the BBC's Pride Board reassures staff of the corporation's ongoing commitment to diversity, inclusion, and belonging, emphasizing support for the LGBTQ plus community. The message offers resources like the Peer Support Network and Employee Assistance Program, along with community forums for open dialogue. Critics argue that the BBC's stance reflects a decline in journalistic standards, pointing to instances where the organization has faced backlash, such as airing biased content. The approach has sparked discussions about the role of media in addressing political and social challenges. Top aides to former President Joe Biden advised Democratic donors against replacing him with Kamala Harris during his re-election bid. Excuse me. During his re-election bid in 2024, citing concerns over her ability to win. The team argued Harris's polling was weak and warned donors about potentially damaging outcomes if Biden stepped aside. following his poor debate performance. Despite doubts from figures like Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, Harris ultimately became the nominee but struggled to appeal to key voter groups, leading to a loss against Donald Trump, which we all know. And Harris's choice of running mate, Tim Walz, he just can't shut up. He's still going around running his mouth sounding like an idiot. But missteps during the campaign further eroded support among critical demographics. These developments highlighted internal tensions within the Democratic Party and challenges in maintaining voter trust. Lastly, Bill Gates has predicted that artificial intelligence will replace most jobs, leaving roles like coders, climate change experts, so-called climate change experts, and vaccine scientists as exemptions. He argued that these positions align with advancing globalist agenda. You know, the New World Order agenda, this is what they're pushing. So of course they're going to have humans working in those jobs, such as managing energy grids under net zero policies and developing vaccines. The ultimate goal of the globalists is to get rid of all humans, the useless eaters, and just have AI running everything. That's their ultimate goal. But Gates views AI dominance as a significant opportunity, emphasizing the need for human involvement in refining and advancing AI systems. Critics suggest his vision prioritizes control and monitoring over broader societal benefits, sparking debates about the implications of AI-driven changes in the workforce. Well, that's all for today's news wrap up. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.